Boom! Yes, folks, Hume here again. And in this video, usually I do the videos in little groups, graps as we like to say sometimes, right? So I do have a couple of videos coming up where I'm going to deal with some SEA questions. Some people send some SEA questions to me. So in this video and the video immediately to follow, these are two questions that I got from a primary school teacher friend of mine. Send me a question and ask for a little perspective on it, right? So even though I don't really work with SEA students, at least not now anyway, these SEA questions are always interesting because the truth of the matter is that very often some of these, the logic that you have to employ in some of these questions could quite easily be applied to questions at the CSEC level, Form 4, Form 5, right? Some of these SEA questions, a lot of Form 4 and Form 5 students will have difficulty with these, to be honest, right? So, interesting. It makes life a little interesting in more ways than one where this maths thing is concerned. SEA, CSEC, right? Well, CAPE and thing is a different discussion. All right, so there we go. The question reads as follows. Meera is 10 years old. When she reaches her mother's present age, her mother would be 54 years old. How old is Meera's mother now? Alright, so I did the working and I'll just read off from the working here. So a general hint, most times, 9 out of 10, when you have these questions with age and stuff, these questions are more often than not algebra questions, where you had to bring in your variables, x and y and whatever, right? And of course, when you're doing algebra, your general idea is to let your unknown, assign some variable to your unknown. The conventional variable that we normally use out of sheer familiarity is x. So we generally say let the unknown quantity, whatever that quantity is, be x. And then we take off from there. So in this case, the unknown quantity is the age of Meera's mother. Right, let me read the question again. Meera's mother is 10 years old. We're talking about today. When she reaches her mother's present age, her mother would be 54 years old. How old is Meera's mother now? And this is the kind of calculation that we could always do with real life people in real life situations. So the first thing you do is let the age of Meera's mother be x. Well, we know that Meera's age is 10, so we can start off with that. Alright? So Meera is 10 years, and say Meera's mom is x years old. Now, the key to this is the difference between the two ages. Right? Now, what do we know about the difference between the two ages of any two people? Right? The difference between the two ages of people will always be the same, no matter how old the people get. Alright? So, if I could use myself as an example, my father was 23 years old when he had me. So my father will always be 23 years older than me. Right? I'm not going to call the actual ages on the video, but you get the point. Right? It doesn't matter what my age is. My father will always be 23 years older than me. Right? Same argument will go for my mom. She would have been about 24 when she had me. Right? So my mommy will always be 24 years older than me. Right? So that little fact is something that we could keep in mind anytime we have to deal with the ages of two people. Alright? So if somebody had a child at 20, then when he is 40, the child will be 20. When he is 60, the child will be 40. When she is 80, the child will be 60. If she lived to 120, then the child will be 100 years old. Good? So the difference in the ages is what will always remain constant. The ages themselves will change, but the difference will be constant. So we could use that principle to solve this question here. So if Meera is 10 years today and her mom is X years old, then the difference between the two ages, and we're going to put the X first because Meera would obviously be older than Meera's mom, would obviously be older than Meera. So in other words, X minus 10, which is the difference between the age of Meera's mom and Meera's age, will be the same as the difference between the age of Meera's mom, whatever, well, it will be 54, and X. So in other words, this is the situation today. Meera's mom, the age of Meera's mom, minus the age of Meera. And this is the situation, whenever that is, when Meera reaches the age of Meera's mom today. So in other words, today Meera's mom is X years old. At some point in the future, Meera herself will be X years old. So I try to make it straightforward in the sense that on each side of the equal sign, I put Meera's mom on the left side, Meera on the right, Meera's mom on the left side, Meera on the right. So in other words, we always have a positive answer on both sides. We started with that because Meera's mom will always be older than Meera. We could have worked it, since it's just a difference, we could have worked it the other way around too. We could have put Meera's age minus the age of Meera's mother. But if we do that, we'll be inviting negative signs into the calculation. And a general rule is you try to avoid negative sign whenever possible. There will be cases where you just can't avoid it, but if you could get around the minus sign, then do that. So today, the difference between the two ages will be X minus 10. And at some point, whenever Meera's mother is 54 years old, the difference will be 54 minus Meera's age at that particular point in time. Remembering, of course, that the difference will always be the same. So because the difference will be the same, we could say that the difference today will be the same as the difference when Meera's mom is 54 years old. And that is our algebra equation. And at this point, all we have to do is to solve it. Of course, in this question, the hard part is actually getting here, right? But once you get here, the sum is pretty much over. So we bring the x, all the x's on one side. So we say x plus x, and we take the minus 10 and we carry it across on that side. 54 plus 10. So you get 2x is equal to 64, in which case x is equal to 64 over 2, which is equal to 32. So in other words, based on this analysis and calculation, it means that Meera's mom is 32 years old today. And we could work it backwards just to double check. If Meera's mom is 32 years old today, then it means that the difference on this side would be 32 minus 10, which is 22 years. So in other words, basically what we're saying is that Meera's mom was 22 years old when she had Meera. Alright? And in the same case here, likewise, the difference will be 54 minus 32, which is the same 22. So in other words, it doesn't matter what the ages of the two women are, the difference will always be 22. Right? So, interesting. I hope that something in here would, something that we discuss here would put you in a little better position to deal with other questions of this type, because these questions keep coming up all the time, right? And these are real life scenarios that you could quite possibly encounter. So that's it for this question. Look out for the next video coming up. We're going to do our next SCA question. Similar-ish type of question. Stay tuned.